Good evening. Welcome to the Reloading Podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network. I want to take time to thank everybody and say hello for joining us.
You're killing me, Mike. You're killing me.
Well, the worst part is for some reason I didn't have my audio muted, so that's stupid. So, hi, Jason.
Greetings.
Hey, Jason. What's up, buddy?
Not much.
Is that better, Travis? What the fark? What sounds weird?
It doesn't sound like it's going through your mic. I think it's going through your computer.
Nope. Going through the mic.
Okay.
So.
Guys, the reason why I'm laughing is because Mike just told Travis and I to shut the hell up and save it for the show. That's one of the few times that man's ever been that discourteous to me. Well deserved, too.
Can you hear me now? I bet you the fan's blowing on the microphone.
Yes. I can hear you, Mikey.
Is that any better?
Louder.
But is it any better?
It seems more crystal, and more brilliant, shall we say.
Be careful. You just said I sound more brilliant.
No, I did not. The quality of the sound seems to be more brilliant. Phil won't be on tonight, as I recall.
Yep, he's busy getting everything straightened out at home because he finally got to come back home from work yesterday because of the lovely little weather that they had down there.
Yeah, the hurricane.
Anyway, let's try that opening again. Hello, welcome to the Reloading Podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network. I want to take time to thank everybody for tuning in live. Hello, everybody in the chat. I want to take time to thank Sean and the gang over at Firearms Radio Network for giving us a place to hang out every week. And I want to thank Patriot Patch Company, patriotpatch.co, for being the bagless sponsor and making some really, really cool patches. So, they've got more than just patches, though, so make sure you swing over and say hi. patriotpatch.co. So, just in case you didn't catch that the first couple of times. There we go. See? patriotpatch.co.
Patriotpatch.co.
All right. Great. I spined a little muffled. Tonight's one of those nights. I think it's a perfect fit for the day and the week. So, I don't know. I guess I sound a little muffled, and I don't know why, but whatever. Welcome, STL Ammo Man. First time in the chat. So. Oh, my sound's clear now. I moved the microphone a little bit. In answer, it is a garage. So I wish I was lucky enough to have a basement, but no. It's a garage. So when it's hot and sticky out, it's hot and sticky in here. When it's freezing cold, it's freezing cold. Currently a balmy 85.1 degrees in the garage right now. So anyway. Did a little bit of shot shell reloading. That's about it. Not much else. How about you, Jim?
Well, I annealed all the rest of the 308 brass that I wanted to get annealed. and Travis and I were started to have a very good discussion until you interjected your big ass and you told us to shut the hell up and save it for the show. I like that. I like that. Anyway, Travis, let's start over.
I didn't do anything.
Liar.
You know, you lie, you dog, you lie. So anyway,
Well, why don't we ask Jason what he did first?
that's true because we'll hog up the rest of the show. Jason, did you do anything this week?
I did my CCW requal last weekend
Outstanding.
and just got off the phone with Dusty about hitting Nevada sometime this month.
That bum Dusty, huh?
That bum Dusty, huh?
Jason, question for you. Does your requalification involve live fire?
Yes.
Very good. Very good. What was your score? Do you remember? Other than qualified.
They don't score you.
Oh.
I compared my group with the part of the line that I could see. Some of the guys are just too far out. I can't see.
Yes, sir.
And there was a couple of guys that I was shooting with. I mean, same size group roughly, but it definitely, I used to like be the best guy or the best groups when I used to do that, but I don't shoot pistol every weekend like I used to when I was doing it. So I don't shoot as good as I used to. So as you say, it's a diminishing, perishable skill. Definitely showed up. I saw it.
Yep, you're right.
But that was it for me.
Travis, tell the truth. What did you do this week?
Oh, not much. Think so you posted a video on MeWe, I think, first. So I didn't want to be left in the dust, so I went ahead and got a video going also, and we both annealed some brass this weekend. So you were doing some 308, so I did some 308. And then I did some 223, and then I did some more 223, and then I annealed some 22-250, and then I annealed some 458, and
458.
458 SOCOM.
Oh,
so yeah, I was a annealing fool this weekend, playing around with the Annealer.
well, we were discussing the relative speed of the annealing process, whereas I go like 5 to 6 seconds with a propane torch, and you're going 2.5 seconds with an induction annealer. Now, I saw your video. You're actually cooking that neck or mouth, the mouth of the case and the neck of the case, to the point where the annealer is cooking it, I should say, until the point that your brass literally becomes red. But it's so quick that, excuse me, the color change doesn't seem to go past you've got it so closely adjusted that the color change doesn't seem to go past the intersection of the the body and the shoulder.
Right, the neck and the yeah.
The body and the shoulder.
Yeah,
not the neck and the shoulder.
And it's I don't know how well, if they can't, for the audience listening, they're not going to be able to see, but you can see that one there.
That looks like you've got discoloration about 1/8 of an inch down the wall of the case.
Yep. So the nice thing, I would say, I don't know how yours was, because I know you one time were talking about doing it kind of in low light so you could really watch that easier.
That was by hand, yes.
The Annie, I would say it just flashes red. It doesn't hold that red hot for very long. I would set it so it just flashed red.
Mm-hmm.
And I got the discoloration I wanted. The nice thing with the Annie is I have a scissor lift on it, so I could raise and lower that coil and get it right where I wanted it. And
over your table that you made.
Yep, over the little. Yeah, we did. Both of us did post review videos. Yours was on the Anneal Ease
Yes.
flame induction, the flame annealer,
Yes.
and mine was on the Annie induction annealer.
Mhm.
They're both on our YouTube channel for those listening who want to go check those out. But yeah, I think annealing is, for me, is here to stay. I really enjoyed playing around with it, and it adds one more step, but I think it's worth the time and effort to do it.
Well, I look at it from not so much from feed my, shall I say, thank you, Jason. You just remind me I need to do that too. Anyway, I look at it more for the point of preserving the life of the brass, not so much trying to take and see how much I can anneal. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with what you're doing, but I'm looking at it like, every time I fire a 280 case, I intend to anneal it.
Right. Well, I'm not going to anneal every piece of brass like my AR. I've got 5-gallon buckets of that. I'm not going to take the time to anneal all that.
That's
but
exactly what I'm talking about.
I do have some Hornady brass that I'm loading up with for my match ammo, that I'm loading up with 75 grain Hornady projectiles, premium primer, some CFE 223 powder, and those ones I'm going to anneal because I'm only doing around 500 to 1,000 of those when I get going. And then I do have some Nosler 223 brass I'm going to keep for my bolt action. I'm going to keep annealing that. And then all this, just all this other stuff, I'm not going to bother with it. It's not something I'm going to be doing 5-gallon buckets for, but like you're saying, anything you're wanting to, it's a good idea. Kind of helps save it.
Well, that's the whole idea. How come you want to take this out? Travis, you might want to take and either remove your hat or put some light in front of you. The viewers are having a hard time seeing your face.
Well, I don't think they want to see my face. This is
that's probably true.
This is on purpose.
You're probably right, but that's another story. Anyway, no, I'm very satisfied with the annealees. It's like Travis said, I have a small hopper that allows me to put 60 or 70 cases in, but I started having trouble with it too because the way the wheel comes around, it seems to bind up under the brass somehow. I think that's an improvement, I think. What do you think, Jason?
Yeah, the one thing I do like about your setup, the annealees, is you have that hopper.
Right.
So you can load how many cases of 308? I do know that a lot of people say do not load on the left-hand side like you were doing, but you were doing that to show something.
Yes.
You don't usually want to load up your hopper on the right side.
Yes.
So about how many cases do you feel comfortable that you can load up in there?
I can load, the hopper probably can hold 100 cases. But I tell you what, I had a lot of trouble with that. They start falling out and, mixing, and I know I'm getting brass that's not annealed mixed in with the annealed brass. And it's like I'm trying to dip in there and either I burn my fingers or go after them with pliers. And it's like, no. The annealees, it's a good machine, but that is a limitation of it. But anyway, on the right side, I got to the point where I'd put in 8 to 10 cases. And if I put any more in, I could see them start to bind and the cases would start to counter spin against the wheel that's trying to pick one up.
Yeah, I think both of our machines have their limitations, and I think they both have their pros and cons.
Well, you said it before we went on the air, and I'll try to paraphrase you as best I can. But you said it. You're setting your time for about 2.4 seconds, and you're getting your brass annealed. And it's much quicker than my 5 to 6 seconds using a propane torch. But at the same time, mine is a continual process. All I got to do is load them up. I think we're getting comparable speed, to tell you the truth, because you have to drop a case into the coil each time. But the one thing we haven't gotten to discuss yet is I had assumed, and we all know what an assumption does. It makes an ass out of you and me. I had assumed that coil would be scalding hot. I couldn't believe you touched that coil, and it's like, Travis, my God, you're going to burn. And you said it. This coil isn't even hot. That coil is super cool. Well, cooled super quick. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's really interesting because you don't have. So I got the Annie with the scissor lift. I got it with the heat exchange. I got it with the foot pedal,
Mm-hmm.
and I did get some temple lac. And I played around with that, and the cool thing with that heat exchange is it's pretty much 100% duty cycle.
Yeah.
So I could run that, and yeah, the coil would not get hot. You don't have to purchase that heat exchange, but you will have to take breaks in between because the coil will get hot and you can damage the coil. But if you have that little heat exchange, it's just continuously pumping water through it. And it's just like a little radiator with a fan on there, and it pumps cooler water, circulates through the coil and back through it, and it just cools that water back down. And yeah, it's surprising. You could run some cases through there and you think it's scalding hot, but it's just room temperature, and it's crazy.
Well, the more I think about it, considering the fact that you got to drop a case, shut your door while the spring-loaded door, and then put a case in, I think you're getting about one every 5 to 6 seconds, like I did.
Well,
And
I was not.
We weren't trying to compete. We were trying to take and learn the machine.
Well, we're going to have a kneel off.
No, I won't do that. But anyway, no, mine runs continuously and yours runs as fast as you could fly. There's some
ways to automate the Annie. It's just more complicated. The thing
more
is
costly.
Correct. Like say yours, you take it out of the box. You got the hopper. You can set it up and just fill it up and go. Mine, I did have to. You don't have to. If you don't do like I did, you're going to have to drop one into the coil, anneal it, and then pull it out with tweezers or something. But I went ahead and built a little wood platform, and the scissor lift was all like 6 inches off the ground, and it put the coil right level where I needed it on my little table I built. And you could drop a case I drilled a hole with a 5/8 hole in the wood table. And then I put a little lever on the bottom that was spring loaded. So I could drop one in, anneal it, and then pull it to the right. The case would fall out the bottom into a pan. And then you could let go of the lever and it would automatically shut. And you could just keep loading it up and opening, loading it, opening. And you could just keep doing a whole bunch that way.
That little trick cut your handling time in half.
It did, and if you have some skills, you can just. I tried one out of plexiglass. There's videos of guys making them out of plexiglass, and they looked awesome. And I thought I could do that, but mine looked like hot garbage. So I got some wood out of the garage, and I just hurried and made a little table out of wood, and I was happy enough with that I called her good, and I came down and recorded the video.
It looks quite nice. It really does. It's nice finished edges that I saw in the video. You did a good job, buddy. You did.
That was an old
countertop
TV tray. Old TV tray. Yeah.
Looked good.
That is an extra thing for me that I had to come up with versus what you had.
Yeah. Well, the Annealer actually comes with a hammer tone painted little metal tray that the cases drop in. I had a second pan there. I know everybody heard the clinking and banging and carrying on, but I'm very satisfied with the machine, really, truly. And I don't know, I really didn't mean it as a review, more as just as watching the machine in operation. I guess you could be construed as a review.
Well, that was a review. I was kind of hoping to have you start as you pulled it out of the box and kind of showed us how to set it up is kind of what I wanted to see too. So we could see, so viewers could see what they get and how to set up. If you had to put the wheels on, or if you had to, adjust your propane, that's kind of what I like to see when I watch videos like that. I want to see, if I get that machine, what do I have to do to set it up versus just, watching someone run something. So,
okay, I can answer that. The answer is at 12 o'clock and 4 o'clock. I put the top wheel at 12 o'clock. The notch, there's like a little, it's a wheel with a U cut out of it. I put it at the top of the cycle, 12 o'clock, and the bottom wheel I set it at 4 o'clock.
Right, but then like the flame, I know that you want to kind of aim that torch head kind of right at the shoulder a little bit.
That's right.
It's nice to, like I say, it's for me. I like watching videos and getting a good idea of what to expect, but like I say, I watched your video twice. It was a good video. It explained pretty much everything that I was wanting to see, but I think there's sometimes like, mine was, I forget how long yours was, but I think mine was like 30 minutes of opening the box, and I went through the whole production.
You made it more dramatic. But in my case, what I was a little disappointed with the Annealers, they used a grounding strap. They drilled and tapped the side of the grounding strap, and they used that to hold the torch with a bolt through the back of the grounding strap, the grounding clip, shall we say. You know what ground bug is, Tracy? I see you're puzzled in your face. You know what grounding bug is?
Yes.
Like you have one on the outside of your house going to that cable or that rod that's 5 feet into the ground.
Right.
Okay, they used one of those with a stud on the side of it to put a thumb screw in to allow me to adjust the torch. That would be for adjusting the rotation of the torch. Now, the actual angle of the torch compared to help me aim it, you have to remember you got to rotate the torch this way, and you also have to index the torch this way. So anyway, the point is, I have a 1/2-inch bolt or nut that I had to tighten up on the inside of the machine, and just a minor adjustment. But I was kind of disappointed. I just thought that they could have come up with something a little better than a grounding clip.
Well, I do know you have the older model. They do have a newer one that has like a PDI. Not a PDI, but it's got the little screen similar to the PDIs guys are building. So it's more of a digital display with the little knobs and stuff to control your speeds and everything. Mm-hmm. I think they do have a different holder mechanism for the torch.
I hope so.
The nice thing with the Annealers is there's a lot of kind of guys doing aftermarket stuff for that, and they've come up with you just got to look it up, and you can see some other videos of guys making their own torch holders and a bunch of stuff with that. Yeah.
Well, the trick is, like you said, aiming the flame at the neck is the most important thing you can do. That way, with the rheostat adjusting the time, the intensity of me adjusting the torch, it's almost unlimited. I can increase the intensity, and decrease the amount of time the case sits there and spins. I could lower the intensity. I can increase the amount of time the case takes to make one revolution. It's infinitely adjustable. As everybody knows how nice it is to cook with gas. I'll take the Annealers.
Did you ruin any cases?
No. Well, there was one that I think might have been a hair over annealed, but the migration of the blue did not go down much more than 1/4 inch.
See, that's the cool thing with this Annie. The 308 cases, I was doing it like 2.4 seconds. I can go up to 20 seconds with that. So
your breath will be scrap when you're done.
I purposely tried not at 20 seconds. I think I tried like 3 seconds or so on some. Yeah, and it would just melt the brass away. But I was finding I've got a lot of, same as you, what was it, the CBC head stamped military. And then I had some Winchester mixed in with this pile. Mm-hmm. And so everything else I could anneal at the 2.4 seconds. Hornady and the Winchester at that same time would kind of melt away at the corner a little bit and be destroyed. Yep. So I had to separate all that out and then dial my time back down to 2.2 seconds just so it didn't get destroyed.
Well, it's a known fact that the 7.62 NATO brass is considerably, and I mean, this is a subjective term, but it's much thicker than your Winchester brass. And I mean subjectively, and by much, I mean maybe 1,000th maybe 1.5 thousandths on the wall. 1.5 thousandths each side of the case neck. That's not very much, speaking in real world terms. But when you have 10 thousandths and you increase it by 15%, that's 11.5 thousandths. And when you get down into that, it just seems kind of picayune, but really and truly it is significant. I mean, Travis was blistering his brass at the rates he was running the CBC brass. His Winchester brass, yeah.
It's just interesting to see all the difference. Like the Annealer 223 brass I annealed, it took longer to anneal that than it did this 308 brass. So I think I have everything written down, so I can kind of have like a little chart to go back and kind of repeat it. But I think offhand, the Annealer 223 brass was taken 2.6, 2.8 seconds.
Okay, well, I think we've beaten the subject up quite enough, don't you?
No, let's do the whole show on this.
Yeah, we're going to bore our folks again. Anyway, so that's pretty much it for what Travis and I have done this week. I uploaded 2 videos. One is Jim and one is Reloading Podcast. And I put it over on Facebook, MeWe, several places, and all that sort of thing. Put links. I only uploaded it twice. Anyway, you boys are bad. Anyway, well,
Jason, did you get in anything to start decapping brass with? Have you gotten anything in recently and done any decapping?
No.
Oh, you lazy bum.
Okay, I got that decapping die and the
Swagebacker,
yeah, but I haven't done anything. So all of that equipment will go out to the barn, and it's kind of warm here right now, and I don't have my swamp cooler set up for this season. So
hold on. For this season, so that means you're not going to do anything this summer?
No, I don't have the swamp cooler set up for the season. So I need to replace the pads and clean it all out and do a little maintenance to it. And then I can start working out in the barn.
Just take you a glass of iced tea and a tank top and get out there. You're starting to sound like somebody else I used to know on this podcast.
I was thinking maybe a kilt and a 6-pack of beer.
There you go.
It gets a little warm out in that barn.
Tactical. Hey, Jim.
Sir. Oh, I think I heard a gunshot.
Duck.
Oh, no, I think I'm going to stand up and take the hit. I'm going to have to clear my throat and mute. Come on, mute. Sorry about the dead air. The cartridge corner. The cartridge I selected this week is for the 300 Winchester Short Magnum. Mike, that link in the notes that I have at the top where it says Ballistic Studies is a link to the 300 Winchester Short Mag page. Anyway, so the 300 Winchester Short Magnum history. Like I said, this information about the 300 Win Short Mag is a courtesy of Ballistic Studies. The 300 WSM was the first of Winchester Short Magnum family, released back in 2001. Ballistic Remington released their 7mm and 300 short action Ultra Magnums in the same year, and a year later, Winchester released 7mm and 270 WSM cartridges. Inspired by Wildcat experiments, the Dakota cartridges, and especially the John Lazzaroni cartridges of the late 1990s, the WSM family of cartridges are loosely based on the 404 Jeffrey case. I do believe that little pool case is about that same capacity. I could be wrong. Anyway, brass for the 300 WSM was designed to withstand much higher pressures than traditional belted magnums. There you go, Travis. There's another cartridge that needs annealing that could withstand it, or particularly when you think of it in terms of higher pressures, brass designed for higher pressures, that means it's going to cost more. Enabling the case to either duplicate or surpass 300 Winchester Magnum factory loads. The ability to utilize these high velocity factory loads without having to hand load was one aspect of appeal to hunters who adopted the 300 WSM. One of the most appealing factors of the 300 WSM included the short, portable, lightweight rifle. Yet for many hunters, it was simply the appeal of a new cartridge design to enjoy and experiment with. Initial loads for Winchester featured 150 grain bullets driven at 3270 to 3300 feet per second, and 180 grain bullets driven between 2970 and 3010 feet per second. Ouch! Can you say slam? All running true to advertised specifications from the 24-inch barreled factory rifles. Olin Winchester brand ammo furnished both highly frangible and extremely stout loads, offering a wide range of performance. The 300 WSM was introduced just as the overly stout fail-safe projectile design was being phased out. For a short time, the 300 WSM was loaded with the 165 grain FS at 3125 and the 180 grain FS at 2970 before being discontinued in favor of the elite projectile for use on tough game. The 300 WSM has grown in popularity since its introduction, and many of the recent creations. This cartridge has most definitely proven to be a success. Shooters have enjoyed using the 300 WSM in a variety of configurations, from ultralight rifles through to heavyweight 30-inch barreled long-range rigs. Ooh. Performance. This part of the report is about performance. The 300 WSM achieves what its designers intended, duplicating the velocities of the 300 Win Mag from a short, lightweight rifle platform. Generally, the savings in length are approximately 2.5 inches when using a 24-inch barrel, as opposed to the optimal barrel, which is 26 inches in length for the 300 Win Mag. Nevertheless, there is no such thing as a free lunch. Well, number one, you're going to pay for it in recoil. Well, several authorities have stated that the 300 WSM produces more moderate recoil than the larger 300 Win Mag due to the smaller powder charges. In practical terms, the recoil level of the 300 WSM in a lightweight platform is hefty enough to require highly disciplined technique in order to maintain accuracy at the long ranges where magnums excel. Still, where there is a need for these intense weight savings when backpack hunting or alpine hunting, the 300 WSM offers optimum performance. The 300 WSM is capable of driving all bullet weights at suitably high velocities to deliver fast killing on medium game at close through truly long ranges, providing the shooter has no illusions as to the need for adequate personal shooting discipline and technique. In other words, understand that the rifle is going to kick the hell out of you and don't let it affect your shooting. The small weights and length savings of the 300 WSM can be exploited further through the fitting of recoil-reducing muzzle brakes or suppressors, which ordinarily on a long Magnum can make the rifle overly bulky. These rifle configurations can be immensely effective, being easier to shoot, allowing for minor changes of technique in the field without drastic changes in the point of impact. However, the readers are advised against adopting suppressors and brakes in the lax fashion that's very common at the time of this writing. Without close attention, both brakes and suppressors can be highly detrimental to accuracy and barrel life. Both suppressors and brakes can cause heavy carbon fouling, which can decrease chamber dimensions, increase pressures, and lift velocities over the course of a shooting session. In other words, you take your rifle out, you keep a suppressor on for shooting 40 to 50 rounds, you could actually begin to damage your rifle or increase the pressure higher than you really want it. Over-barrel suppressors trap heat, and during over-barrel suppressors trap heat, and during rapid fire with lightweight barrels ruin extreme velocity spreads. Winter-developed handloads can produce severe pressures in the summer during rapid repeat fire. Muzzles can be completely destroyed via moisture condensing onto carbon deposits, causing severe corrosion, including on stainless steel, or in other instances causing a swaged burr at the muzzle. Both brakes and suppressors are excellent, extremely useful tools, but should always be utilized carefully. With either addition, the shooter must be vigilant with both cleaning and shooting methods. That's something that I never really considered when the suppressor that I won. I haven't even fired it yet. Don't get into that. I never thought about it until Mike started talking to me about not using ordinary never sees on the threads of the suppressor, simply because it's too hot for the quality of the never sees, the anti-seizing compound. But I've done a little reading about suppressors now. I just assumed you could shoot it on there and leave it on there all day long. Well, guess what? It doesn't work that way. Anyway, the true forte of the 300 Magnum is on large-bodied medium game at all ranges. Again, the general rule of this author is that where 90% of the hunters' medium game weigh 90 kilograms, 200 pounds or above, perhaps setting on 320 to 400 kilograms, 700 to 880 pounds as an upper limit. The 30 caliber Magnums show great strength. The 300s are ideal for red deer, mule deer, several species of sheep and goat, wild boar, and a plethora of other game animals the world over. As a woods hunting cartridge, the 300 Magnum can drive long for caliber, yet fast expanding projectiles at velocities suitable for anchoring a game with snapshots from all angles and with varying shot placement. As a long-range hunting cartridge, the 300 WSM loaded with AMAX projectiles is capable of producing wide wounding out to 1,000 yards. I'm almost done, guys. I know I'm not that good of a reader. In comparison to the 300 Winchester Magnum, velocities are very similar between the two cartridges. In factory ammunition form, the 300 Winchester Short Magnum is generally loaded to maximum potential. With hand loads and using the heaviest of projectiles, the older Winchester Magnum can prove to be more potent. In some cases, as much as 200 feet per second more potent. Rifle-to-rifle variations do, however, muddy the waters. The 300 WSM cannot really be accused of a severely powder-cramped design, even though powder capacity is heavily reduced when using long caliber 208, 210 grain projectiles. The WSM is able to achieve velocities of between 2650 and 2730, delivering excellent wounding potential out to moderate hunting ranges with controlled expanding projectiles, as well as wide wounding out at the very minimum 1,000 yards. Okay, guys, the rest of this Mike's going to post in the show notes. I thank you for putting up with my poor narration skills. I tried to proofread this beforehand, and it's a good article. And along that note, Mike, if you would, and I think that first comment we have in show notes tonight is a good segue. If Mike's still around. Yes, he is. Hello, Mike.
Sorry, somehow the Cartridge Corner and the questions got flipped. Cartridge Corner has always been above the questions. So
okay, we can put that back down where it's supposed to be.
I agree. Scrolling and wasn't there. So,
and Jim, just so you know, I'm sure there's thousands of listeners out there who use the soothing sounds of Jim Fleming to put themselves to sleep at night. So you're doing good work out there. You just keep it up, buddy.
Thanks, Travis. I just needed that. Now you just told me.
Oh, no, I'm just saying some people spend money. Some people out there spend money for those, whale sounds and the ocean breezes to put them to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Us reloaders, we just put Jim Fleming on in the Cartridge Corner, and boom, we're out.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have it any other way.
I love you too, Travis. Yeah, I'll try not to be so boring. I just don't do well with reading aloud.
Yeah, better you than me.
Speaking of Cartridge Corner and reading aloud, Don posted in the Reloading Podcast group on MeWe. Maybe it's just my opinion, but I really think you did not do the 7.64 Brennicky any justice in the latest Cartridge Corner. I responded to Don and said, probably not. I read that one, and my kind of impression of the 7.64 Brennicky is it's just another European cartridge that somebody found over there, decided to drag over here, and we already had one that was performing just as well here, but so it's a niche cartridge, and I don't know. I guess I didn't get super excited about it, and I'm sure there's some people out there that are really excited about it, but
you can't please everybody.
No, but I also politely thanked the guy for the question. I also asked him for a suggestion on how we could improve on that particular cartridge. I think what he's referring to is the amount of time that we spent actually reading the text description of the case. And I have to admit, I remember that one in particular, that it was rather abbreviated.
So I think the whole entire description for that wasn't really that in depth, so I don't think I had a lot of material to go on in the first place. But at any rate, one of the things we've been toying with, and I'll throw this out there, is having listeners send us a recording of their cartridge they want to do for the Cartridge Corner, and then we just play that. Or if the listener wanted to come on live to do the Cartridge Corner. We've been toying with that idea. So if you're out there in listener land and you've got ideas, send us some audio or just send us an email, reloadingpodcast@gmail.com, and let us know what you think if you want to do that. So,
Mike, you're actually asking the listeners to do what we're doing, pick out a cartridge, develop some information for it, and then narrate it aloud?
Yep.
That's a good idea.
It's been requested by at least 15 different people. So
really,
yep.
I had no idea, because I know I never read the Reloading Podcast email, even though I have access to it. I didn't know that. Not
only just via email. So, but
that's a good idea. I like it.
Aww.
More listener participation.
Yep. Mac in the chat said we should have Jim paint happy trees. Oh, there's some happy trees over there. And some happy birds over here. Oh, that's awesome.
I love you too, Mac Raven.
Nothing like working a Bob Ross reference into the show. Nice. Awesome. Okay. So, this question is from... Nope, we're not answering that one because we already did. Did we or didn't we? No, we didn't.
Evidently, question 2 was in there from last week. I didn't.
Nope.
I hadn't seen it.
So no, he this is a different question.
Okay, that's fine.
I've been listening for a couple of months now and really enjoy the podcast. I also contacted you about my 10.5 AR-15 that shoots well at 500 yards. That's why I thought this was the exact question. I was using from factory 55 grain 223 rounds as I'd run out of my hand loads that day. Anyway, just finished building my 6.5 Creedmoor Stag 10 with a 19-inch barrel with 1 1/8 twist. I didn't even buy factory ammo for it. Well done, well done. Just got some new cases, Hornady, and Federal, and some 100 grain Hornady ELD matched bullets. I already had the primers and the powder, so why buy factory? Exactly. Now I put 100 rounds through it and generally sighted for 500. Wondering where to go next. There's so many different bullets from each maker, and testing them all will take forever. Normally I do most target shooting, but will also use this gun for hunting deer this season. So with all of that, for the summer, should I just try and do some long-range target shooting to get better at it? Where should I start? Should I pick the bullets with the highest ballistic coefficient? Do I look for a bullet that has the best speed? I'm not new to shooting, but I've never really tried to do much in the way of long-range precision shooting. Thanks for your advice, Stefan. Okay, so first off, as much as you'd like to, the bullet choice for long-range precision shooting is not going to be a good choice for hunting usually. Different bullet construction, different bullet design, different bullet intent. Your target bullet just has to punch a hole in paper or slap steel. It doesn't have to penetrate, expand, and destroy tissue and cause hydrostatic shock. So just the whole entire, and not to mention, retain its weight. So, I mean, the bullet design from the jump is kind of different. So you kind of pick what you're going to do. Now, if you've got decent optic on it, you can actually do both. You can develop a hunting load, and then you can develop your target load, and then you can just have your scope set for adjusting for each. But that's kind of the thing there. So, I mean, you're typically your hunting bullet isn't going to fly very well at 1,000 yards. Now, you may find one that covers both, but depending on what you're hunting, you said you're hunting deer, so I'm guessing whitetail, maybe blacktail, but more than likely probably whitetail. So 120 to 140 grain, maybe 143 is kind of what you're looking for the bullets, unless you want to just be a speed demon and go for the Weatherby effect, which is a decent sized mass moving at a ridiculous speed to cause lots of energy that way. You kind of generate your wounding and killing energy one of two ways. Either you have a larger bullet, driven not quite so fast, so you have a lot of mass, or you have a smaller bullet, lighter bullet, whatever you want to call it, driven a lot faster. So that's kind of the two ways that a lot of your hunting calibers have been designed. Not necessarily either way is going to be a really good ballistically coefficient bullet. Now, I honestly didn't pull up every single bullet from every single maker and take a look at them all to compare for this, because there is quite a few more, and frankly, there's more coming out every day. If I'm looking for a hunting bullet, though, especially if I want one that I know is going to absolutely perform, I'm probably going to be looking more towards Norma, just because they have a series history, or a Sierra. Hornadays are okay, but the consistency's not there, bullet to bullet. And in my personal opinion, from my loading, the consistency is not usually there, bullet to bullet. So, but the AMAX is a good all-around bullet if you wanted a decent hunting bullet that has decent expansion, yet still does pretty well.
Hey, Mike.
What?
When you say the consistency isn't there, specifically, what do you mean? Bullet weight? Bullet to bullet?
If you take a box, in my personal opinion, in my personal experience, if you take a box of, say, 100, in this case, 150 grain AMAX
Right.
weights, and you lay them all out,
Mm-hmm.
and you start measuring, and you start weighing, you're going to have inconsistencies throughout the entire 100.
Okay, thank you.
And that's to a point, unless you're buying match bullets and you're spending a crap ton of money, you're going to get that to begin with. But if you're looking at something where you're chalking more than a 50 or 100 yard wood shot, which honestly, if you're buying a 6.5, that's what you're kind of looking for, is more than a 50-yard shot, and you want to get consistent, then you're going to want a bullet that's more consistent. I honestly have done some testing with Sierras, and Sierras out of that whole 100 for a Game King are a lot closer in weight, and definitely a lot closer in similar shape as far as size-wise. Like I said, my experience, your mileage may vary. So honestly, with the Normas and with the other one I would practically recommend would be Barnes. A lot of your big game that go to Africa absolutely love Barnes. So,
Well, Barnes, aren't they the no lead bullet?
Barnes has a no lead bullet. I think Norma now does too. So, I don't remember off the top of my head, but let me check here. I hate Norma's website. So Norma makes good projectiles, and it's a crappy website. It is not very user-friendly. So, at any rate, oops, I don't know that. Dead air. Dead air. Dead air. We got a crap ton of dead air. Dead air. Dead air. Dead air.
Well, what's going on here
Crap
during
ton of dead air.
the dead airspace is the fact that Mike is on the Norma site fighting to try to find whether or not they sell unleaded bullets. Well, no lead bullets, I should say.
Not in a 6.5, they don't. So that kills that. But I think he's in Canada, so it doesn't really matter.
Where is Canada? Is that north of America?
Mm-hmm. It's America's hat. Don't want Barnes & Noble, you stupid-ass Google search. Take Barnes & Noble and shove it directly up your Google rectum.
Quote mark, Barnes bullets, unquote. That's how you force Google to search for what you want.
Yeah, Google flag. I use DuckDuckGo. I get tired of Google's crap. Anyway. What the? Good grief. You know, Barnes isn't much better. And it doesn't look like Barnes has a lead-free in. Oh, I take that back. They do have an all-copper. The LRX.
Hey, I do like Paul's comment over in the comment section about why Phil's not here. I think that should be pointed out for future reference.
That's hilarious. Could be. He did get a little moisture down there. We'll go with that.
That means he's slacking. Phil, you're a slacker because you got your truck stuck because you got a drop of rain on the ground down there in Louisiana. So there's your shout out, Phil Rabelais.
So. One of Barnes' better bullets is the TSX. And they've got a tipped version in 120 grain. 120 grain's got a ballistic coefficient of 412 with a sectional density of 246. So it's entirely possible that you could, if you were feeling froggy, try and take that long distance. I don't know if I would, because they have better options.
120 grains, long range.
So, yeah, but it's not necessarily weight. Somebody said that on a show a while ago, and I don't remember who it was, but we got called on it. They said because it was a heavier bullet, it would not buffet the wind as well. And that actually doesn't mean squat. Bullet weight means squat when it comes to wind drift. It's ballistic coefficient that makes the difference.
That 412 you were talking about, is that G1 or G7?
I believe they use G1.
That's pretty good then. It would be phenomenal if it was G7.
Yeah, I think they use G1 because they've got a match burner that's a 5.86.
Wow.
So that's
even for G7, G1. That's phenomenal.
Yeah, they got a match burner that's a .586, 140 grain. That one is a precision bullet.
Yeah.
So I think that's their. Where's that one? Oh, it's just a regular match burner. Okay. So with the regular TSX, which is basically like an open-ended hollow point, like the Match Kings and the Game Kings before they got with the tipped. They've got 120, a couple of 130s. So main difference between the 230s is ballistic coefficient. So a little better design on the other one. They've got the LRX, which is a long range. And that's 127 grain with a ballistic coefficient of 0.468 and a sectional density of 0.260. So, and they've got the TAC X and the TAC TX. And then, like I was saying, they've got the tipped TSXs. So the TAC TX and the TAC X are their they call them specifically M/LE, so military/law enforcement tactical bullets. But it doesn't really say what's so special about them. So the TAC X are an all copper. It looks like the TAC TX is a tipped TAC X. So you've just got the polymer tip again. And then that's kind of the difference between them. So that's kind of some of your barn stuff. Yeah, Hornaday's got a few different ones, options too. Maybe their QC's gotten a lot better. I don't know. I haven't bought any in probably 5 years. I've got some 55 grains that I bought from them, but I don't care if those are specific or not because that's just plinking ammo. So. I guess what you got to do here is you got to pick your priority. Is deer hunting priority or is long range shooting priority? I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with this on what bullet you're going to go with and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Is what's your priority?
Basically, what you're saying is 2 sets of ammo, one for long range, one for hunting.
Exactly. Let's just check in the chat quick. See if they had any add in, but they're talking about powder coating, so.
Did you want to move on to the next question? Which I thought was a pretty good one.
I warned you about that thinking thing.
Yep. Skull gets fat, big and fat. Hey, got a big head. Never will swell back down.
No. All right. So, next question. From some Paul Nelson guy in the Reloading Podcast group on Facebook. What do you shoot in rifle calibers? So he shoots 223, 556, 308, 6mm rem, 22 Hornet, 22 250, 30 odd 6, 280, 7 rem mag, 243 Win, 25 odd 6, and 300 Win mag. What he shoots in order most to least. His next couple are 6XC and 6.5 by 47 once the barrels come in, both of which are long distance toys. So Jim, what all do you shoot?
223. I have 4 rifles for that caliber, and I have a contender barrel, Thompson Center contender barrel. That's 5 handguns, 5 firearms chambered for the same caliber. I shoot 308. I shoot 270. That was my first big game rifle. 270 Husqvarna and 270 Winchester, I should say. The rifle is Husqvarna. Of course, I shoot the 280 Ackley Improved. I shoot an air rifle on occasion. And
177 or 22?
177.
Slacker.
Well, trying to hit an aspirin tablet at 25 feet. Call me a slacker. Anyway, I shoot that primarily offhand. Shoot it out in the backyard. I haven't done a whole lot with it, just fiddling around. But in rifles, I shoot more handgun because it's more convenient more than anything else. But I reload for everything I shoot. The only caliber I would consider not reloading for would be something like a 357 SIG. I'd carry that ammo, but I would shoot, practice 40 S&W. But that's not really the answer to Mr. Nelson's question. So how about you, Jay? Oh, Jason's not available right now. Travis, what do you shoot in the way of rifle calibers?
Okay, so I responded to Paul, and mine are in no particular order. 223/556, 300 blackout, 22-250, 308, 458 SOCOM, 243, 30-30, and I need to update that to 22 LR.
Yep, I forgot to include that one myself. How about you, Mikey? What are you shooting in the way of rifle calibers?
17 or 177 pellet, 20 pellet, 22 pellet. I've got a couple of just cheap BB pellet guns that are the 177s, and I've got a Benjamin 392, which is in the 22. And then my dad has a Benjamin, or actually it's a Sheridan Silver Streak, which is the 20 caliber. Then I shoot 22 long rifle. Actually, I shoot 22 short, long, or 22 short and long rifle. I shoot 223/556. I'm trying to remember what else I've got lately to shoot. Well, 6.5, 30-30, 303 British, and 257 Weatherby when I'm shooting my buddies.
I thought you made me think of one, Mike. I just realized Jason has a 444 Marlin. I know that for a fact. But also, I shoot 357 in a rifle.
Mm-hmm. I also shoot 35 Remington in a rifle.
I shoot mine in a handgun.
Soccer.
Yeah. Wait till you have that thing go off in your hands.
It's your fault. I shoot 35 Remington out of a rifle anyway.
Thank you. I love you too. Glad to be of service.
I've not fired my 7.62x51 because there's a burr in the chamber, so I got to get that out first. That's how I got it so cheap. It's a 1916 Spanish Mauser that I'm sure was rebarreled to 7.62x51. But there's a little burr in there that keeps the brass from chambering nicely. And I don't really want to pull the trigger on it and then have that burr punch into the side of the brass. It doesn't end well. So,
have you seen fired brass from that rifle?
Nope.
Well, get somebody to polish that burr out of there.
Yeah, I got a Chuck from Essential Shooting Supplies. This is going to eventually. So next time I'm on my way out to my brother's, I got to drop it off to him.
Sounds good.
I think that's it for rifles.
Well, I know that it'd be of interest to the listeners as to what the hosts shoot. Hosts, as in plural.
Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, I can't think of any more rifles that I have. I probably do have more, but I just can't think of them.
Road trip to the safe.
Yeah.
I like a comment over on YouTube that Chris Sharp just mentioned. He knows.
What'd you say, Travis? You dropped off.
He forgot how to read. He's in Idaho.
Sorry. Yeah, I like Chris Sharp's comment. He shoots a caliber he knows that Phil doesn't shoot. Any guess what that is?
Anything other than 223-556?
338 Lapua.
Well done.
I actually haven't heard Phil say he does shoot anything other than 223.
No, he doesn't. So. Oh, silly me. 50 cal.
You shoot 50 cal?
Black
powder.
Yep. Yeah, they're both 50s. I was thinking my other one was 46, but no, it's 50. So.
Here's mud in your eye.
Sorry, I'm already done with my vodka lemonade. It's all gone. Is that Mikey?
By George, I think she put some rum in that.
Oh, it was nice of her. Might have to keep her around a little longer.
Mm-hmm. She did.
Oh, God. Well, we better hurry up and finish up the podcast before Jim goes 171 on us. Anyway. On a serious note, though, we'll have Jason say what he shoots when he gets back. He's currently on assignment. So, next question, very apropos for what I'm currently sitting in. Nathan Miller, and yes, it is Miller, not Muller, because Miller is the correct German pronunciation of that. So, although I don't know, maybe they changed it to Muller because there's no E there, so whatever. Nathan Miller, however you want to pronounce it, posted a Reloading Podcast group on Facebook. Question for the group. I live in a high humidity environment, Houston, Texas. Yep. We're currently remodeling our house, and I've been told that I'm good to go whatever I want to do with the garage. It's my space. That being said, I'm concerned about storing powders and primer out there. Is it a justifiable concern? Should I store them inside? So a bunch of us answered this question, but since he's able to do what he wants with the garage, here's what I'm going to tell you right the heck now. Since you're able to do what you want with the garage, whether you build a temporary wall or you build a permanent wall, you need to make yourself a nice little reloading room. And then you need to cut a hole in the wall, put yourself an air conditioner in that puppy, and turn that puppy on. Humidity problem solved. Now, the reason I said temporary wall is because if you have to, if you have to have the garage functional as a garage, depending on the size of your garage, you may have to, have a temporary wall so that moves and doesn't move back, and yada yada. So, because as everybody can see here, this has to be a functional garage. For some reason, the darned wife keeps insisting on parking that silly thing in my reloading room. So, you got to work with what you got. Now, see, this would have been a great question for Phil because he's in the swamp, but he's busy playing in the swamp. So, Jim, how are you dealing with humidity?
I keep my containers sealed primarily.
Okay.
And I keep my ammo in MGM ammo boxes. The 280 stuff is. The other stuff is in regular coffee cans. How am I dealing with it? I keep my containers sealed. You take out the powder I need, and when I'm done, I put it away.
What about primers?
Primers are in the original packages. And they're in storage.
Inside anything, or are they just sitting in the original packages?
They're sitting in the original packages, in the original cases, and in the primer pack, individual bricks, and then the individual packs in the brick. And they're not being treated special. I kept them in the barn. My barn up in Pennsylvania was unheated in the winter, and except when I was in there, and it wasn't cooled at all in the summertime.
Okay.
I've never had any real problems with humidity. Components like to be where humans can survive. You wouldn't want to keep them up in the attic. I'll say that.
We're in a locked car.
Yes. No, not because of explosion, because of degradation of the properties.
Exactly. Now, see, I would think, just, with the base of that question, I would think that primers, because they're not shrink wrapped in anything, so they're technically exposed to the air. Yes, they have paper over them directly, and some of them are facing up, some are facing down, and they're sitting inside plastic. But technically, they're still kind of exposed to the air. So I would,
Mike, you bring up a very good point in a roundabout way, and that is the primer factories, the people that make it, CCI, Federal, whoever else, Remington, whoever makes Winchester stuff, all Lake City, they deal with the storage problem simply. They just keep everything in the original packaging, and an original packaging is not shrink wrapped. It's not airtight. I keep it in there when I have 4 or 5 bricks that I'm actually working out of, and I keep those bricks in sealed MTM ammo cans, but that's for my convenience, not for the life of the primer. I don't particularly worry about the life of the primer. The primer is what it is.
Yeah.
That's a good point you bring up, Mike. Go with what the original manufacturer uses.
I can tell you if you leave prime cases sitting around that aren't filled, there's a good chance you can have some primer failures. But your mileage may vary.
How did that happen? Please elaborate, please.
My fancy Hornady powder dispenser, which I still haven't sent back, someday I'll get around to that, quit working.
Yes, sir.
So I didn't have time at the current moment to go to alternative solutions because my scales were packed away. So I just said screw it and left them sitting on the bench for a couple days. And when I got back to them, first couple of them that were fired were primer misfires. So that was interesting. But I mean, that's the only time I've ever had a primer failure, other than factory ammo.
I've had a few of those.
Mm-hmm. I wonder where that one went.
Okay, what's the next
Then you
question?
can get factory ammo like that. Yeah, that's a problem, kids.
I've done that.
That's factory.
Yeah, I know.
That's not me.
Yeah, I know. When I was struggling with the Dillon, and for whatever reason, I managed to turn primer upside down, and I seated it that way. Went right in. It went right in. I'll give it that.
All right, Jason. First question: what rifle calibers do you shoot? And go.
30-30, 308, 6.5, 30-06, 45-70, 444 Marlin. I think that's about it.
I heard you shoot 270 out of a 30-06.
Well, damn, you got a memory on you.
Every once in a while, just don't tell my wife.
Not to mention the fact he likes to pour molten lead down over his feet and legs when he's wearing sandals and shorts.
Well, I wasn't going to go there, but he set himself up for the 30-06. He said
You heard it first out of his mouth. That would be Jason Trumbo. He said it himself on this show several episodes back, a couple years ago.
So, Jason, second question. One of the listeners is moving and building, or he already moved. They're remodeling, and he has the garage to do with what he will. They live in Houston, and he wants to know about humidity affecting powder and primers, etc. What's your thoughts?
Yes.
How do you deal with it? We already know this.
Keep my stuff in the house and
Okay.
take it out to the barn when I want to reload.
Okay. So that was kind of one of the questions: is should he store them inside, or is it just file concern? I gave a different answer this time than I did last time. I told him just build some walls and punch a hole in the side of the garage and put an air conditioner in and be done with it. But
yeah,
since he gets, he was told he could do what he wanted with the garage, so that's my thought.
insulate it and air condition it.
Dang right. It's Houston. It's never going to get really that cold in there, so.
Never.
But, well, if it ever gets that cold, then I guess we got bigger issues. But according to global warming, it shouldn't happen. So, anyway, I think he's good to go with just the air conditioner. I told him if he can't build permanent walls, build temporary walls. Move them out of the way when somebody pulls the car in, and then you can put them back when you're ready. So,
yeah.
Travis, you still alive over there?
Barely.
Do you have humidity in Idaho?
I have the whole basement as my reloading room.
Oh, so you don't have any problems.
I don't deal with any humidity problems. I just make sure I keep everything in the original containers. And I don't know if you look over my shoulder, I got several bricks of primers just sitting on the shelf, but I've never had any issues.
I did not know primers could do that, and we can't see a thing because it's dark.
Good.
That is impressive. Did you teach them to do that, or is that a skill acquired on their own?
Yeah, they just sit there.
No,
they're not evil. They're not evil primers.
Other thing you said they do.
What?
Shitting on the shelves. You heard first on the podcast. Travis has found a way to manufacture special primers.
Yep.
They shit right there on the shelves.
Mark, I need an audio of that a little bit, if you would, please.
All
right.
Especially when Hooker puts it out there that Jason actually said in Jason's voice that Hooker was right.
Rodney M posted in Reloading Podcast group on Facebook. I'm loading for my 6.5 Creedmoor using 130 grain free ELED bullets, and I'm using 4451. My best group is a charge of 43.5 grains. The Hornaday and Hogden data says that I was over the max charge, but Sierra data says 43.7. Using normal brass and have not had any sticky bolt or flattened primers, am I okay with this load? I am going to say I can't answer that without actually seeing brass.
Well, he starts getting ejector marks, stuff like that, brass flowing into the ejector plunger down into that part of the bolt face, then he better back off. But it sounds like he's not having any trouble with it. I would not go above max. That's one thing I wouldn't do.
Yeah. ELD would indicate Hornady bullets, but bullets are bullets for the most part, as far as that goes. As long as they're not, as long as they're similar construction. Let me put that caveat out there. You cannot use the same loading data for total metal jackets as you would for cast lead. Not a good idea. But, if they're a similar style, like these are ELD, so it's a tipped bullet, and he's using, Sierra load data for their tipped bullets, you're probably, it's more of an apples to apples comparison. So let me just reach up here and grab my 5th edition 7th printing. Oh, wait a minute. Why am I doing that? Why am I doing that when I can go to the Sierra app, which is so much better? Anyway.
Hey, just while you're looking, what's your guys' opinion? Piletti Defense said vacuum seal your primers.
You could do that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
I've got some vacuum sealed.
That's actually a prepper's trick.
Yeah, nothing wrong with it. I mean, if you've got it.
Well, that keeps the air off of it, but the thing is, too, it doesn't keep the heat off of it. If you put it up in the attic, your primers and powder will probably degrade.
Mm-hmm.
But keeping them in room temperature, vacuum sealed, I'd say you have the best of all worlds.
Mm-hmm. Well, Hook'em's got a moist house.
Nugget?
It looks like
What's that?
He's got a what?
Hook'em's kind of moist. He said he's pulling 1.5 gallons of water out of the air a day, and he's keeping his storage reloading area at about 50% humidity.
Hook'em's what?
He's moist.
I just wanted you to say that again, Jason. Sorry.
Oh,
Say it with feeling and passion. He's moist. There you go. See, now it got to the twisted level you wanted, Travis.
There. Now we've all said stupid stuff tonight. I just didn't want to be the only one.
Well, we normally try and save it for you because you do well at it, but you know.
Well, I just missed Phil tonight.
Hmm.
Miss picking on him.
Well, yeah.
I hope he gets that truck unstuck.
Ooh, 2 drops of rain and his truck gets stuck. Isn't that something?
Right?
Got all that truck loaded up with all his prepper supplies, and he gets it stuck trying to get out.
Oh, that's brutal.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Well, this is annoying.
This is unrelated, but I remember one time I took Morris a four-wheeling in a Geo tracker I had, and I found the biggest, sloppiest mud hole I could get, and I drove right through the damn middle of it, and I stopped. You should have heard her light up. Oh my God. She says, "You get this stuck, you're going to carry me out of this mud hole. I'm going to make you walk." Then I took her girlfriend was sitting in the back seat of that tracker, just laughing her full head off.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Mm.
I don't know what's funnier, the fact that you actually fit in a tracker. That you owned one.
Paid $2,000 for it.
That was 1995 too much.
Yep. Anyway, it is what it was. What it was. It was a good time. And the funny thing is, I took the wind right out of her sails. Like I said, I stopped in the middle of the butthole, but I knew I was on top of solid rock and bedrock, and I just drove right out of the mud hole.
That's because Jim was there before it was ever dirt, back when it was just rock. Marked it on his tablet so he could find it again.
You really had to reach, didn't you? Didn't you, idiot? Yeah, you really had to reach.
Hey.
Anyway, did you find that data you're looking for?
Nope, I cannot find 6.5 in the freaking Sierra manual. I did find listing in the app, but not for 4451 at that powder rate. So, I don't know.
Well, I would say the simple fact of the matter is keep an eye on pressure signs. If you're not having any, run with it. just keep an eye on it. You know, keep a weather eye constant. Always check your brass after you get done. You start getting little unusual round circles from the plunger cavity, from the plunger well. Your brass is starting to flow. And brass flows at what, 75,000 psi, 70,000 psi. Jason, what's brass start to flow at? You know?
I think it's 75. That sounds about right.
Well, if you run your gun at 75,000, that's 15,000 too much.
Is it?
No, it depends upon the gun. You run that 4570 at 75,000, you won't be around to tell us about it. Because your ass is going to be kicked in it next week.
I want to see the load that gets that much pressure out of that thing.
You bet. Tight group, that'll do it. Maybe even bullseye. I've used bullseye. It's scary how little you actually need.
It's fun. Not scary. At any rate.
I think we're about out of questions.
So I don't think that powder transfer was right. I don't think it's 4451. So, because I don't see any 4451s listed in a couple of the books I'm looking at. So, bottom line on that though is some of your reloading manuals have been lawyerized, so they keep downgrading. Some of the change is because the powder is more efficient. You don't need as much, so they're trying to save more money. Some of it is just flat out lawyerisms. So your mileage may vary, but must absolutely watch for pressure signs. So that. The last question for the night. So they're talking about one of the questions they just asked is it better to buy 8 1-pounders or 1 8-pounder for storage?
I'd go for buying 8 8-pounders.
Well, if you're going to do that, you might as well just buy a keg. And be done with it.
42-pound keg.
Yep, be done with it. So, because the 42-pound keg is going to be cheaper than the 8 8-pounder. So,
Matt, that's next on my list.
So, as far as for if you could get 8 1-pounders that were the same batch. Maybe.
Same lot number, yeah.
Same lot number, same batch. Maybe. But you're better off buying an 8-pounder because you know that's all the same lot.
Well, the other thing is, too, there's always packaging that has to be paid for. You have to pay for at least 7 packages. And the price is going to be better, always going to be better on an 8-pounder than it is going to be on 8 1-pounders.
Yep. And it takes up less space.
Yes, sir.
So. And honestly, unless you're, taking the cap off and letting it sit for a while, you're not going to really have an issue. So Pioletti Defense LLC wants to know what our favorite revolver caliber is. That's a simple answer. All of the calibers.
Hook 'em Lexus 327.
Someday I will have one.
I like my 357.
I don't have one, but I would go 357 also. And I believe that's what Phil's answer would be too.
And I think Jason likes his 357 in the woods.
I do, but I also have a lot of fun with my 44 mag.
I'm sorry, Jason. Say again, please.
Travis, shut the F up while adults are talking, okay?
Hold on. Let me hit mute so I can do this properly.
I can't believe you said that.
Yeah, I'm on my 3rd cocktail now. I do really like the 357, but the 44 mag is a heck of a lot of fun. And then, of course, the 500, like Travis was saying, there's a pretty good giggle factor with that.
Yeah,
I would imagine you could use that 500 to knock trees over, can't you?
Me damn near can.
Woo!
Yep. I like all of the calibers. So.
You know,
Iffy.
22 rimfire and a handled revolver is like a lot of fun, or even a Ruger Mark II.
Yeah.
I love my Ruger single 6 and 22, both long rifle and Magnum.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
There's a world of difference between a 22 mag and 22 long rifle as well.
Just a bit.
Yeah, it's like 357 versus 38.
Yep. So, Thomas Peterson says he wants a 454 Casull so bad. Yes, I agree. Yeah, my wish list for revolvers is a 454 Casull and a BFR, and a 4570 and a BFR, and then 327. And somebody is finally making a 327 lever gun, so I will have a 327 revolver and a lever gun. And Hookem says if you own over 5 guns, what should be a 357 mag revolver, or you are wrong. I tend to agree with that.
Oh, he's right. He's right.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to speak now, Jason?
Yes, the adults are done talking. You may speak now.
Okay. I am wrong. I do need to pick one up. That's all I can say about that.
Oh, good grief.
Oh.
I like Jason when he's a little sauced up.
Yeah, he's entertaining.
Hey, look at Jim. He's only halfway through that rum drink he's got, and he's.
Hey, Jason, you just need a
Yes,
bigger
sir.
glass so that you can drink quicker.
Okay.
That's what I usually do at night after the show's over. Is 8 ounces of rum in this, and I'm good to go.
Cool.
Holy crap. Fat Elvis got shot through the chest with his own 454 Casull while boar hunting, and he's still here to talk about it. That's impressive.
Ooh.
Jason, they want to know what your cocktail is.
Tanqueray and tonic.
Nice. Is Tanqueray your favorite gin?
I have more favorite gins, but they cost a lot of money, so I don't drink them very often. Tanqueray is my normal.
Agreed. Yeah, Tanqueray is affordable.
Yep.
So, yeah, I got vodka lemonade tonight, so.
It all smells like Scotch tape to me. Or Scotch invisible tape, that's what it is.
All right, we need to wrap this up. Jim's had enough. That'll do it. He said, fell out of the shoulder holster onto the hammer. No transfer bar or safety. Not a good situation. And that, kids, is why you should use a retention holster.
You're right, Mark. I'm laughing so hard. I'm crying.
So, absolutely glad that Fat Elvis 111, you're still here, especially after something like that. So, hello, Full Lead Taco. He joins us just as we're about done.
Welcome, Taco.
By the way, Travis, I have listened to the new podcast. It's pretty good.
The Concealed Taco Dudes, and we have the main taco himself in the chat.
Yeah. Now, here's the fun thing: is if you were subscribed to SX3 already, you're automatically subscribed to Concealed Taco Dudes. So.
And if you were originally subscribed to the Gun Dudes,
Gun Dudes.
you're still subscribed.
Anyway, so I guess that's pretty much about it for tonight. Paul said he's drinking a single malt scotch. Well done, sir. See, I have to have a good scotch because I had a really peaty scotch, and so I wasn't really impressed. So, yeah, someday I'll have to have some good scotch, and then I'll appreciate it. Unlike my grandfather, who drinks Cutty Sark. Yeah, not good scotch. Cheap swill. But he drinks scotch.
Paul, if your scotch is under 18 years old, it's underaged?
Yes. Not legal to drink.
Not legal. Okay.
No. So, yeah, scotch is one of those things that it definitely needs to be aged. So,
I had an uncle that drank Cutty Sark too. Ooh,
right? Ugh.
nasty.
And so, if you're watching this live, give us a like, hit subscribe, say hi, leave a comment, talk schmack, whatever. The nice thing about watching the video live, or not even live, but go back and watch it after, you get to see the chat as you're watching it. So that's a nice thing. You get to see kind of what we were talking about back and forth. Great questions. If you have questions you want answered, a couple ways you can get those to us. You can slide them on to us by reloadingpodcast@gmail.com. You can text them to us at 608-467-0308. Hi, Russ. I'll talk to you in a minute. You can send them to us via Facebook or MeWe. And how you do that on Facebook or MeWe is you go on Facebook, either the Reloading Podcast page or the Reloading Podcast group, and post it there. On MeWe, you go to the Reloading Podcast group and post it there in the actual group, not the chat. So MeWe, there's a chat and a group. You want to post your questions in the group. You can if you have a question you need answered right away, swing over to the Reloading Room on Facebook and take a look there. Use a Google search; it works pretty well. We'll go through and see what everybody's posted. The one suggestion: if you are going to join, you're asked to join the Reloading Room because they didn't have the answer to your question. Make a note in your question when you answer the questions that say "heard about it on the podcast," especially if you've just created a Facebook profile for this whole purpose of going to the Reloading Room. Reloading Room, we do, or actually all of the groups, we actually kind of pay attention to what people are going on, and we try and keep the trolls out from the jump. So.
Yeah, and if you want to join, make sure you read what is being asked and you answer all of the questions.
Correct. If you do not answer the questions, you will not be allowed. Just like Gandalf said, "Thou shalt not pass, and a shrubbery will not help."
We can spot trolls.
So.
And everybody do Jim and do us a favor. Go over and watch those reviews that we put out on YouTube on the Annealers and the Annealer, please.
Thank you, Travis.
If you don't want to go to YouTube, you can go to Gunstreamer. We're over there too, and everything we post on YouTube automatically appears on Gunstreamer, so that's a nice thing. If you're looking for more places to hang out, the Reloaders Network is an awesome place to go. Lots of amazing content over there. So. And it'll pretty much put a bow on it. So keep your brass shiny.
Take ammo when you go shooting.
That always helps.
Especially if you're going a state away.
Yep.
Yep. Get out and do some annealing.
Do some annealing, take somebody shooting. More importantly, take them shooting.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.